Apollo Global Management, Oaktree Capital Management, and Aris Management said this week they're committing $90 million over 10 years in an effort to attract more black talent to their industry. The Alt Finance program will include a mentored fellowship, a scholarship program, and a virtual institute offering courses designed by the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. The mentored fellowship will be run by the nonprofit Management Leadership for Tomorrow. For more on this, joining us now is Oaktree Capital Management Co-Chairman Howard Marks and John Rice, who is the founder and CEO of Management Leadership for Tomorrow. Good morning to both of you guys. Very important efforts here and initiatives. Howard, I'll start with you. From your vantage point, how severe is the lack of diversity in the alternative investment industry right now?
Oh, it's pretty severe. I mean, it's a condition that we've been making some progress. We've been focusing on it, but we really want to amp up the rate of progress. And the events of 2020 focused the whole world on equality and opportunity, and I think that's timely.
John, talk to us about the mentored fellowship. So if someone receives these funds and they're able to get into this program, what will that fellowship look like?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I'll start by saying I think what we're a racial equity nonprofit organization, and we focus on both the individual and institutional sides of advancing racial equity, and so we've got a unique lens on how on what is going to be most important to moving creating the progress that Howard mentioned. And what we're so excited about is that Oaktree, Ares, and Apollo have come together and taken a very innovative and comprehensive approach to moving the needle on racial equity within the alternative investment sector. And I think that comprehensive approach starts with diagnosing sort of and having a clear sense of why we are where we are and what we need to do to move the needle. And when you do that analysis, then you conclude that it's not a pipeline problem. Actually, the talent is there. And what these organizations need to do is actually to cultivate and prepare and to expose that pipeline to the fantastic opportunities that are available in the alternative investment space. So that there are four key elements, that they put together within the context of this comprehensive approach and around this alt finance initiative. And the first one, is really partnering deeply with HBCUs. Four to start: Howard, Spelman, Morehouse, and Clark Atlanta, with more to come. But partnering deeply with HBCUs to actually expose more students and to help them develop the understanding and the excitement about the opportunity. And the second piece is really providing hundreds of students, with those who get most excited about the space with a comprehensive preparatory experience, so that they can get placed in the investor track, internships and full-time roles, and then giving them the support and the coaching to be successful navigating once they're there on the job. And then the third piece of this is partnering with the Wharton Business School to provide a best-in-class applied finance and investing skills curriculum that's really an overlay, that connects what students are learning in the classroom to what they are, to what investors do on the job. And then the final piece is that they've made a big commitment to scholarship dollars, not just for the alt finance fellows, but for a broader swath of students at HBCUs, so that they can focus the majority of their energies on intellectual development and career preparation, and so that they're not distracted, continue to be distracted by staying personally financially viable once in school. So we're very excited about the comprehensive nature. It's a 10-year commitment that I think can be transformational, not just for the students, not just for the schools, not just for the industry that is financial services and alternative investments, but also for society.
Howard, John notes that the pipeline of talent is there. The pipeline of diverse talent is there for these jobs. Why do you think the industry continues to overlook this talent?
I think it's not just a matter of the industry overlooking the talent. I think that that there are a lot of clever people out there who could make their mark in our area, but they have to know about the area. They have to develop the skills that are necessary, and they have to find us, and we have to find them. So there's a lot involved in moving people from possibility to career.
And on that front, John, what do you think is the biggest tension point that still needs to be improved upon? I mean, this is something you work on every day, right? Is it the getting people to the correct match? Is it earlier on in the process? What still needs the most work?
Yeah, well, I think it actually Howard starts to really capture it. And I look at it as what we've been doing in the past. Is with respect to attracting a broader, more diverse talent pool into the sector. Is essentially, I'll use an analogy. The way we've been doing it in the past is essentially akin to elite college admissions. When you don't yet have the brand awareness among the diverse population, and moving, going from an approach that's akin to elite college admissions to one that this initiative really embodies, which is more akin to how oil companies execute their business. So if you're an elite college, you make great opportunities available. You do a little outreach to the few places where you have some relationships. And then you just expect folks to apply, and then when they don't knock at your door, then you're a little bit stuck. You're trying to figure out where that pipeline is. But the orientation that they're taking, a much more comprehensive approach, is more akin to how oil companies do their business, which is essentially hire smart people, scientists in their case, to find out where those deposits are. Right, invest over multiple years in the infrastructure, the drilling infrastructure, and the pipeline infrastructure. Go down and get that crude and bring and then transport it to your refineries, where you add that the secret sauce and turn it into finished product for sale. And that's really the mentality, the mindset that needs to happen to move the needle. And that's really the sort of the underpinning of the alt finance approach that Howard and his colleagues are rolling out today.
I like that analogy, John. That's a good one, a good visual. Howard, I want to ask you, you mentioned 2020, of course, which redrew people's attention to these issues. You at Oaktree have been at this for a few years, however, in terms of your diversity efforts before 2020. And you're a results-based guy. How have you done so far? How, in terms of staffing and such, and your diversity initiatives?
Yeah, well, I think we've always had good intentions and an open mind, and that, of course, is not enough. About 6 years ago, some of our employees organized into a diversity effort, and they've been making good strides, and our numbers have been rising, and I think our numbers are now scale very well against our industry, but they're still inadequate, and we still have a lot of work to do, and we're glad to do it. I think that last year, whether it was the fact that we were at home watching more TV, the fact that the videos have gotten better of these terrible events, clearer and less muddled, I think that everybody's focusing on these issues much more. And of course, the pandemic was a very unequal experience in which some people systematically fared much better than others. So, we've amped it up. We've created a full-time position of the head of diversity and inclusion, taking one of our colleagues who was doing it on a part-time basis as a side job and making it her full occupation. And we're very excited about what that kind of step can bring for Oaktree, in addition to our participation in alt finance.
John, for those watching, what type of skills would need to be developed in your program to join a firm like Howard's?
Well, I think the approach that we're taking, is one that cuts across a number of areas, right? And colleges are doing a really good job of providing the kind of curriculum that is the sort of the academic side, the core skills that relate to finance. All right, but what really needs to be broadened, and you need to have an overlay, what we call sort of the applied finance, that's built that's built around what investors actually do. Okay, and that's really where I think Oaktree, Apollo, and Ares, this is their expertise. They're the best in the world at investing. And our view is that if we can bring the applied orientation, okay, and provide an overlay to what students are getting in the classroom, then and then also provide as Howard was saying, a level of exposure and in a relationship, so they understand here's the bar. Right. And they understand where they stand relative to that bar, not just on the kind of the underlying skills, but also on their market knowledge and their understanding, of risk and how that plays out in what investors do. So this is really about, building on what students are learning in the classroom, obviously, and building on the core analytical skills that are, that you're building and turning, and making those much more an orientation from that is about applying them to the real world environment. And I think that's what, when you think about Wharton Business School, you think about these three funds, these three organizations, I think it's very much in their sweet spot to complement what students are getting right now and prepare them very successfully for careers in alternative assets.
Well, we can't have Howard Marks on and not talk about the markets. Howard, what's your latest thinking on the markets after the big Fed meeting yesterday?
Well, first of all, Brian, tenet number 5 of our 6-tenet investment philosophy is that our investments are not driven by macro forecasts. Having said that, we do think about it primarily in the sense of is this a time to be aggressive or is this a time to be defensive? Our conclusion is that this is a time to be at our normal, neutral position between offense and defense. There are some good things going on in the world, like the economic growth, which is very exciting, and the return of the reopening of the economy. But there are also negatives, like the worry of overinflation and so forth. So I would say steady as you go, not more aggressive than usual, but also not much more defensive.
And so, Howard, if you're not looking sort of most, giving priority to what we're seeing in macro, where are you seeing the most interesting opportunities right now?
Unfortunately, for most of your viewers, the best opportunities are not in the public markets. The public markets are just too easy to access, and it's just too easy for people to find out about and hop on the opportunities there until they get fully priced. So, a great deal of what we're doing is in private investing and private lending and emerging markets and things that are off the beaten path. Our sector is called alternative investments, and that means really alternative to traditional stocks and bonds. And I think it's away from stocks and bonds that the greatest opportunities lie today.
That's really interesting, Howard, and I would love to have you back at some time about some of the attempts to bring some of those private opportunities public, but we don't have time today. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. Really interesting program that you're working on. Howard Marks, Oaktree Capital Management Co-Chairman, and John Rice, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, founder and CEO.